my topic. Now, we do a lot of things here. We call it prognosticating, and we all this talking like, oh, there's a rumor of a Vita. What do we want in a new Vita? What I want to talk about is an iPad. I want a new iPad really badly.
The iPad 2?
It's an iPad 2, and it's been great to me. I love this iPad. It's been fantastic. I bought it to read comics and browse the internet in bed, and that's what I do with it, and it's fantastic, and I have a great time with it. But then the other day, I went to one of the Apple stores, and I touched that iPad, the other iPad. I was like, oh, this is really
Is that what it's called, the other iPad?
The other iPad, I believe.
iPad Air.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it? 2? There's 1. I can't keep up anymore how many generations
pretty sure
behind
iPad Air is... There was iPad, then there was iPad
2. What I got?
Then there was the new iPad,
With the Retina
which was
display.
iPad with Retina. And then there was iPad
Mini?
3.
Oh, there were minis involved too somewhere.
I'm pretty sure there's an iPad 3,
which
was... Yeah, but then there was no. But later there was an. I'm pretty sure there was an iPad 3, which was the same form factor as the new iPad, but with a better processor or whatever the fuck. Oh, and lightning port and the touch thingy.
Sure.
And now it's just iPad Air is the whatever.
Okay.
Something about that might be a little bit wrong, but that's the general lineage.
So I was looking at this new iPad, the other iPad as it's officially called. And I was like, oh, this is cool. The screen's better. It seems like it's loading faster. That's the one problem right now. You know, my old girl's getting old. She doesn't load the comics as quickly. You know what I mean? I have some problems there and stuff like that. We're having performance issues there. Not terrible ones though.
That happens when you've been in a relationship for a while.
I know, right?
Issues.
Yeah, you don't get as excited anymore to read Superman. What's he up to? I don't know. I'm sure it's the same thing he's always.
I just want to go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the thing about it though is I then talked to a friend at Apple. And I was like, oh, and he's, well, what about the new one? And I'm like, what about? And he's like, there's gonna be a new one. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really care. And then he said, it's gonna be the rumor. The rumor, as I'm sure you've read, is that it'll be bigger.
Yeah,
you've heard.
This is no rumor.
It isn't.
This is a fact.
But it's not a real fact
of rumors. But I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, this.
How
is
much
like,
bigger is it? So my question is.
Bigger is not better.
Well, I want to discuss if it is bigger, if we care, and then the second thing I want to talk is why I want it so bad. Why do we want something so bad? But let's get to this right now. So the rumor is, bring me up to speed. I don't follow tech rumors.
This is one of those rumors that's been going on for years at this point, and it's similar to the Apple Watch, where it's like we knew it was gonna come, we just weren't sure when exactly.
Okay.
And every single time there's an Apple conference, you can almost at this point telegraph what they're gonna announce and what they're gonna talk about, but every single time people are like, oh, the new iPad, they're gonna talk about this, they're gonna talk about this, and they haven't. The iPad hasn't gotten a real big push for years at this point.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's always been like minor things. There was always been like, they'll announce the new MacBooks and they're like, oh, also we did this to the iPad or the iPhone, and also there's a refresh or whatever. But it's like, since the iPad Air or since the Retina display,
they sell
on iPad,
well though, right?
Factor. Oh, and the Mini. They've been focusing on the Mini.
Yeah,
that's
the Mini's. Well, no, but the last time the Mini came out, didn't the Mini just get because I just got a Mini, but I got it's a 2, not the newest one, because the newest one was like garbage as far as the upgrades were concerned.
Well, the newest one
like more
adds
space that
adds the touch.
Oh, the touch thing,
the touch unlock or whatever. And it's all these dumb little things that don't matter. But then it's like, now that I'm used to having touch unlock, I hate
trying
going
to
back
unlock
to my
this thing
iPad.
with my finger like an idiot.
It's like, damn it, like it's frustrating.
Literally, that doesn't work for me. The touch unlock. It works 1 out of every.
It's because you're like a man in black. You ain't got no fingers.
Oh,
well, I think it's because my skin's too dry.
Flawlessly. But
you do have really, really dry hands.
For years, there's been rumor of the iPad Pro, which it's codenamed. And it's going to be, if I remember correctly, 11.9 inches.
Okay.
So
how big is this thing?
That's 9 inches.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. I like where we're going with
so
this.
So it's sizable, and it's pretty much the same size as the screen of the MacBook Air. I want to say. So it's getting more to like, that's for laptop. Let's replace your Air. This is now supposed to be what you're using for what you're doing. It's the Pro version or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah. And it's
more
likely than ever now because we're starting to finally see actual cases being made, which doesn't confirm anything. But the fact that we're now seeing from China a lot of different cases from different companies is like, all right, it's inevitable.
Is the goal that it's so powerful it's basically like the iMac rather? Was the iMac or the Mac Pro? What's the computer that's just the display?
iMac.
Is it the iMac?
Yeah, it's the iMac.
Yeah, because so they had the Mac Pro, which was before it used to be the big ass tower that no human being could actually physically move because they were so heavy because they were like solid steel cases. Then they went to the donut, right? The little trash can, which is the dopeness. But they're not selling as more of those as they are with the iMacs. Is that the idea? Is that they're going to make this new iPad? You're not going to need a laptop anymore. You just put a little keyboard in it when you're ready to rock and roll.
It's supposed to be more than ever to kind of blend the tablet laptop world, which
so it's not a Surface Pro thing.
I mean, I wouldn't give that any real credit. It's definitely like the iPad thing, but like
Well, if I'm plugging a keyboard into it, I mean, the Surface Pro's been doing that for a long time.
Well, so is the iPad.
Yeah, but I mean, the iPad from almost day one has had Bluetooth.
Okay.
Apple stuff.
Yeah, but they're not like promoting it that way. Like,
Right.
this is gonna be something native.
They'll
from
probably do that.
Okay.
But I mean, the thing is, if you guys have been to Best Buy in the last 3
Turn on the phone.
years, then is that the thing for
It
them?
used to be years ago.
My God.
Best Buy.
But in the last 3 years or
Turn
so,
on the phone.
Fun. Was
turn
Why would
on the phone.
Well,
I thought that's what you said.
That's
too.
what I thought. I was like, turn on the phone. What a terrible.
What are you
fucking
talking about,
tagline.
The last 3 years at Best Buy, the tablet section has been bigger than the computer section.
Yeah.
Whether it's like laptop or desktops, and like that's crazy. Like if you're going for a desktop at Best Buy, you have maybe 6 options. It's like here's an HP, here's a Dell, here's a cheap one, here's a cheap, whatever. But then laptops, you get maybe 13 different laptops. Tablets, there's like 26 that you can just like go and play with, whatever. And so it's like that's just how the market shifted. And I feel like a lot of the stuff like the Air, they're trying to get people to just get the iPad instead. So
Well, I mean, you got to think, right? What are the 3 or 4 basic things that everyone that has to interact with these products needs? You need internet access, to check your email, and some sort of rudimentary word processing software that you're probably just going to use your email for anyway, and Google Docs. Like that. I mean, that's really all you need. Really, is base stuff. We need more. Obviously, we need more robust machinery and hardware to be able to edit video, record sound, shoot, manipulate footage and whatnot. But like for the most part, I know it's kind of crazy to think that like the desktop is not long for this world, right? Like maybe in the next 10 years, we're just not going to need that anymore. It's all going to be laptops.
The desktop, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So the desktop, because I agree. Because I was talking to Cheryl recently about this, where when I got my tablet, when I got my iPad in 2011, I guess it was the iPad 2, which I still use. I was really still very skeptical of it. I just wanted it because I was traveling overseas a lot, and I ended up falling in love with it. But I think that when the tablets came out, especially with the iPad, people were like, "Well, laptops are dead now," and like to me, I'm like, "No," like. More than ever, I'm like, I need a laptop. I think laptops are fine, and they're robust, and they're interesting, and they're useful, and they're tactile, and all those kinds of things. So to me, the iPad's always been kind of a secondary machine. I use it basically in bed to read. I use it basically to read books and browse the internet, and that's pretty much it. But I'd be interested in, see, here's the problem. I want to discuss this real quick. You're saying that the people can't really see at home, even if I pointed it out, but on the iPad 2, there's, I would say this is probably 3/4 of an inch on either side, and then probably a full inch on top and on bottom. I wonder if the solution, even though they're not going to do it, is just to get rid of all of this stuff and make it holding the screen.
I mean,
and then just turn off the touch on the side so you can still hold it like that.
The iPad, any iPad after the 2 essentially does that. So it's
because this would add,
it gets rid of most of the side. So it is. I mean, it's just like this.
Yeah, that's more what I would want it. Like you could have maybe the top on the bottom. You could add an 1.5 inches or so.
He's holding up the iPhone
You could add
giant.
1.5 inches or so to the display and be pretty. Because I don't want this is the problem with Apple is that they're mimicking what Samsung and others are doing, and I don't want them to do it. I don't think it's like, I don't understand this whole bigger is better thing. This is the perfect form factor.
No.
See,
bigger is better.
No, see, and this is the thing too. Is like with the phone, like right, like I thought that was too big, and I didn't go for it. I went with this, and I'm happy with that choice. But like when I was ready to pull the trigger on a new iPad just to have the new iPad or whatever, and then when they said, well, the new one might be bigger. And I was like, and then I was like, well, wait, for everything I use it for lying in bed reading, for browsing the internet, for Twitter or whatever, for the things I actually use it, I would love a bigger screen.
Really?
Yeah.
See, this is funny. This is somewhere where for me, I don't care. Like recently, I just got the watch and stuff, and I didn't get it yet, and I'm upset about that.
You're still wearing that piece of
it's
shit
coming.
watch.
It's coming at some point. This watch has been dead for months, Greg.
I know. I'm aware, and it's in Spanish, and you have a million other stories
But I
about
don't care. Here it is, again. Anyways, I've been thinking about all this stuff. I'm like, well, shit, am I gonna have to upgrade any of my other tech soon? Like I got my phone. I'm good for at least another year, or whatever. And I was like looking at my iPad, and I'm like, I love this thing. And I was like, do I need like I like the finger unlocking or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I don't need that. And the way that my iPad is right now, I love it. This form factor sucks. Just with all the extra room on the sides. Why the fuck was it designed that way? No Retina display. Come on, all that shit. But the processing on mine's fine.
I was gonna say the Retina display. Really, like I thought it was a gimmick.
Yeah.
Until you look at the difference, you're like, "Oh, it looks like you got glasses."
It's standard at this
you're
point.
Like,
so it's
oh
like,
my god!
And for
not
me,
even a
reading
thing.
comics, that's the big thing. Is I want the bigger screen because what's the main thing I do with comics is pinch and zoom. You know what I mean? Because I can't read the word bubbles in like the 2-page spreads. Or
I think that's my thing. Is like I love my phone. I love how big it is and stuff. It's still not big enough to read comics on comfortably. Like that, you need to do pinch and zoom. That's perfect to me. It's a comic book size.
Yeah, but
that is a comic book.
But you don't have to zoom in at all ever.
No.
Do you guided view?
No.
What is that? Is that when you plunge and it goes? It does.
Yeah.
I see. I love that. I like that experience.
I've been reading comics too long. I can't do it.
To me, it's more like a story, like a storyboard or an animatic, which is I think it's just a cool experience. So if I had that size phone, I'd probably read everything on it. Yeah, just being able to tap. I like to look at the detail in the individual cell, and then it zooms out and you see the full panel. I think that's a really cool experience and very like impactful. But having said that, though, I do get that on my mini, and I was one of those. Remember, hardcore like I don't need this. Tablets are completely extraneous. This is the stupidest investment possible. And then Kevin loaned me his mini for that whatever trip. I think we were going to New York. Where was I going? Oh, Florida for Eric's wedding. And I loaded some comics on it, and I was like, oh, whatever, I'll give it a shot. Changed my life. I'm like, this is the device I need to read magazine-style content from now on. Like, the laptop, to Colin's point, I hope it never goes away for work, because I cannot.
It won't.
I will never.
Desktops will never
be
go away
able to stomach typing on anything other than a tactile keyboard, like an actual physical keyboard. Yeah. I can't type on. I can't type on my mini.
That doesn't work.
I can't do it. Like, it's too big. And when I put it down, I have to do, and then I'm like, whoa, wow, this is cool. And being back in 8th grade, this is dope, right? So laptop is still my preferred methodology of searching quickly. Why was that in 8th grade? Because I'm like pecking at it. Like, okay. I'm a www. You can't do this on the mini because it's not. It's just kind of it's odd.
For user listenings at home, he was acting like he was on a keyboard.
I was acting like a Tyrannosaurus Rex on a keyboard.
Oh, okay, cute. So my question, I guess, really is like, what does everybody want in the next iPad, really?
I mean, that's my thing. Is I had that moment where I was like looking at my iPad for the first time in a while. I was catching up on comics, and I'm like, they nailed it. Like they did it. I don't need anything more. Anything else is just nice little extras that I really don't need. I don't think I'm going to be upgrading my iPad for a long time.
I'm surprised that this one's hung out with me for so long. I mean, iPad 2, that was a while ago.
iPad 2 was a long time ago.
Yeah, right?
You got to get a Retina display. And, I mean, even the size notwithstanding, the Retina display is where you're going to see
I won't have
really big difference. No, you might not, actually.
What are you playing? What are you using?
I have the iPad Air.
Okay, so that has the Retina. And then more screen size.
Yes,
maybe that's why you can read stuff that I have.
So I had an iPad. I had the new iPad, which was the first one with the Retina.
Oh, the other iPad,
which is the same form factor as this one.
Yeah.
But with Retina.
Okay.
And then eventually it like shat out on me and like the screen kind of like broke. So I sold that one and then probably
scheming.
Yeah, it was a very schemy thing.
Maybe don't admit to a federal offense.
No, I didn't do any federal offense. I just whatever.
Sold the lemon.
I sold it. Yeah, I sold it, and then I bought a new one, which was I think it's called the iPad Air.
Okay.
So there's been a new one after that I don't have, but like using it's perfect for me.
Well, that's the thing. This one was perfect for me for a long time, and now I'm just ready to make the jump.
But see, that one's not perfect though. Like that's
for me, it was.
Yeah, but it's not that. Like you say that, but it's like the Retina thing and the form factor are going to make it a much better real experience for you. The thing that I'm complaining about, the finger, it'll make it slightly better, but definitely not that much. This Retina, this is not the optimal Greg Miller experience. I know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that mine is the optimal Greg Miller experience. I don't think you need anything more than that.
Why don't you give yours to Greg Miller and have him read a comic book on it? Bring it tomorrow. I'll have him read a comic book.
Back right now. You can look at it.
I'm not worried. I'm just gonna buy a new one. It's just the next one's. I want a bigger one.
If you want the bigger one,
I watch movies on this thing too. Having it be in a big screen. Colin, do you care? What do you need anything from your?
No,
next
I think I want Apple to stop being so reactionary with making everything bigger because other people are doing it. I think that they have the right idea of shrinking things and making them smaller. Now, I respect the whole real estate of the screen, and maybe this thing can be a little bit bigger, but let's not get to the territory of being bulbous. Apple proved to us that we need these things in our lives, so let's they almost need to trust their own instincts and be like, well, there's such a thing as too big. I see some phones that are even bigger than this, and it's like comical.
Not many.
I have seen phones that are bigger than this.
Kevin has a bigger one,
and it is comical to me how big phones are. Like, it is literally like people are like, hello? I'm like
for those of you listening at home, Colin just put the iPad to his face, and it was very funny to watch. Watch the video as well.
So to me, my iPad's getting a little slow and a little worse for wear because it's 4 years old, but I like it. I would, if I could almost get the same form factor with just better innards, I would do that. But I trust that Apple has not steered me wrong in the past with many things, and maybe we'll get a new one that will be a little bit better. But my needs for these devices are also simple. Like, I show people my phone, I have nothing on my phone. I use it to browse the internet and tweet and read
all those mobile games you're playing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love mobile games. They're great.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking for something a little more powerful, but like I'm fine with my iPad 2. I can see myself using my iPad 2 for 5 more years, like straight up. Like it's fine for what I use it for. It might not play the newest and nicest games. It might not have the beautiful display, but I like download books onto my Kindle app. I mean, that's basically what I do.
Yeah, see, unless you're playing games, that's where I think that you can sort of get lost in the generations of all these things, right? Because if there's something that's not really processor intensive, like for me, I have an iPad mini 2. I can't think to upgrade because what would I need it for? I read comics on it, books, and search and browse the internet. That's it. So do I need something that's going to be like super crazy, robust, awesome?
I mean, I don't think anyone does. I don't even think there is like a huge iPad game user
market.
Base. Yeah, that is thinking that way.
So that's
all the Infinity Blade people.
I think the more important issue at hand is kind of what Colin just brought up, which was that Apple used to be known as a company of innovation, right? And when they made the original iPhone, it was purposely that size. It was almost criminally that size because it was like it broke every video resolution that you could ever think of. You're like, why the hell would they do that? But it was meant so that you could get your thumb to the top of the screen without straining it, and that's a very think about that concept of like someone's like, no, why don't we make it 16:9 so it's exactly like every other resolution out there. And Steve Jobs was like, no, it needs to feel right in your hand. It's about the experience of what we're providing for people. That is every bit as important as what's in there and how big the screen is or what it looks like. Like the form factor of it is very, very important. It's not an afterthought. Right now, I feel like the company is very much all about afterthoughts. Like, Absolutely. What can we do? Well, we can make it bigger. Okay, what else can we do?
See, I guess we can make it more adapting, man. It's adapting to the experiences on the phone.
But it's not adapting. It's
reactionary.
It's reactionary, and it represents to some degree a lack of vision. Where Steve Jobs was always the thought leader. He was the taste maker, and now I look at an Apple store and I'm like, this is getting oddly close to a Microsoft store. Like when I look at a Microsoft store, I'm like, there's the same product in every shape and size, and there's not really any reason for me to want to interact with it other than that it's very functional and it's a little bit bigger than the competition. Whereas the iPhone, it was like, dude, granted, you can't always not everything can be the iPhone. Like once in like a great gap of time do we see a piece of technology that changes the world so fundamentally like that did. Like think about that. We all lived in a generation where we had a little pager that you had to find a phone, like a quarter phone for.
Lived in that generation.
You lived in that generation. You just weren't cognizant of it.
Well, it's funny that you say that it couldn't happen again because the iPod did the same thing for music.
The iPod,
and the watch isn't. And that's the problem.
And that's
right?
like and I would say tablets are cool, but they're not as fundamentally groundbreaking as the iPhone. You can't compare the two. Well, having owned a tablet, I'm like, holy crap, everyone should have one of these. They're amazing.
When the original iPad popped up, I was like, I have an iPhone. Why would I get a bigger iPhone that isn't a phone? You know what I mean? Like
right.
Soon they're going to be the same thing.
The iPod itself.
Hello? You just saw me clean that.
The iPod itself. I think the iPod itself, the success was every bit as far because of sort of the distribution as it was the actual technology. Like the technology was dope. But let's remember, like the original iPods, I was like, why are people interacting with these? Like the pinwheel thing that you had.
Yeah, but remember they were buttons originally. That was the craziest thing.
Oh, were they buttons?
Revolutionary.
Originally?
It was the wheel was revolutionary, but remember the original iPod had buttons, and in that wheel, and then they made it.
It was weird, yeah.
But it was very tactile. I think the point you're making, and I think that as a salient point, is just that like they've revolutionized things over and over again. Apple revolutionized personal computing. Apple revolutionized the operating system. Apple revolutionized music. Apple revolutionized affordable computers. Apple revolutionized the phone. Apple revolutionized the tablet.
How much more revolutionizing can they do?
See, that's my thing.
It was one person that did all that.
They revolutionized.
That's the problem.
They did. They don't need to though.
Right. They have what works, and now they just want to make tweaks to
make it better.
Right? And that's all I want.
Give me different options.
I don't know. I'm
fine with that.
I expect them to keep doing it. Like that to me. Like they built it up so much that's the expectation is that they're going to keep doing that. And I don't like. That's why I look at the watch. I'm not trying to be jaded about the watch. It's cool. I'm glad people are excited about it. That thing is not a revolutionary product.
There's absolutely nothing that's revolutionary about it. It's completely unnecessary. Is it going to be necessary in a couple of years? I don't know.
Maybe,
who knows?
Maybe.
It needs the iterations, and we'll see what happens. But as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need to be, though. It's like, here's something different. Here's something new. The same way as the iPad. The iPad, everybody was like, I have my phone. I have my laptop. Why would I need it? And now, iPads are just, everyone has one.
Yeah.
Everyone being most people, like anyone in our industry or whatever. It's just like, oh, yeah, I have my iPad, and I use it for reading comics or magazines or whatever, very specific things. The watch is eventually going to have that same thing where people use it for very specific functions that you don't need. You know, I don't need this screen, but I love it.
Right.
I would like. I'm never gonna go lower than this for my future phones, ever. So.
See, I think for me, it boils down to sort of the concept that Apple used to be the sort of benchmark for supreme quality to me. Where I would always look to Apple and be like, oh, that's what it should be. That's what the experience should be like. Not it's hard to explain because like with Microsoft, you're like, I have a ton of different options, right? Then you used to turn around and be like, Apple, I have 2 options. Oh, but you know what? They just happen to be the 2 perfect options, right? And there was something to that. There was a magic to someone telling me, no. This is it. This is what you should have. This is what you should want. And me going, no, and then picking it up and going, they're right. They're 100% right.
You did it again, John.
You nailed it, right? And then when you when you go into an Apple store, it is the sort of like, it's a smorgasbord. It's like you don't like that size? We got a size that's a little bit bigger. You don't like that size? We got a size that's a little smaller. You don't like that color? We got another color. Versus like, hey, no, this is all you have to worry about today.
See, man, and cool that's always what I didn't like about Apple. Is
that's
I love
Apple.
The options.
That is Apple.
I mean,
Apple
that's
we make 5 products.
That's not what Apple is.
But the problem is, and you see the issue here, is that every other company is that. So Microsoft is that, right?
No, but every company's not, because Apple's still doing the quality stuff.
They do have good quality, but what I'm saying is like there's it goes beyond that to like that was the market differentiator for them, which was that they're going to make quality, not quantity. And now they're making quality, but they're slowly starting to slip over into the quantity game.
We're acting like they didn't do that from day one. Or day one being the iPod. It's like, all right, here's the iPod. Here's the iPod in 10 colors. Here's the iPod mini. Like they've always done this. It's not like it's been
yeah, but they had a track record for the phone where it was like it was crazy when they were like, we're switching the colors, right? Like they iterated a little bit.
It wasn't that crazy,
but not to the place
where there was so much iteration with the phone.
Yeah, but I think to the point you were making before, where I understand kind of where both of you are coming, is this a sense that when the iPod came out, it worked and it made sense. You just said that the watch doesn't make sense right now. That's the first thing that came out where in its first iteration you don't understand it. You know, like the iPod, you understood. The iMac, you understood. The Apple II, you understood. The Mac, you understood. The iPad, you understood. The iPhone, you understood. Right. And the watch is out and it's like,
why do I need it?
And they're like, no, wait for it until iWatch 5 and it'll be great. And it's like,
well,
no.
That's not even what I'm saying though, because like I do think that the watch has certain things that there is reasons to have it in the same way there's reasons to have an iPad. What I'm saying is you don't need a watch. There's nothing that's saying you need it in the same way you need a phone.
Right.
But I do say it's similar to the first iPad, where it's like you don't need it. But if you want to read comics, you should get it. With the watch, it's like if you want to have the fitness stuff, or if you want to have your notifications without taking your phone out, which when you have a phone that's this fucking big is a nice thing to have.
That might have been the stroke of genius.
You can tweet,
but I mean, that might have been the stroke of genius.
You're right.
But that's fine though.
Make it so heavy that they have to buy a watch.
But this is not heavy. That's the thing.
Make it so bulbous.
Is it's so
like it's such a chore to take it out of your pocket that you're gonna want to strap something on your arm that tells you what's on its screen.
I mean, it's
genius, Colin.
Whatever, dude. We'll see how this all goes.
That is actually funny.
Look, I mean, everyone likes the Apple bash, right? Even if you're a fan, you always like to go, oh, I don't know, Apple.
I like the bash.
Make it bigger.
Give me a bigger iPad.
It's still amazing watching this stuff, and I'm sure that the watch will be awesome. But it's hard. Like, what the hell else can you do unless there's a huge technological leap in displays or the way we interact with these devices? Like, shit, what else is left?
You need a visionary to tell you that.
But that's my thing. Is like, would you rather them not do it? Would you rather them not try? Because I wouldn't. I want to see what happens.
No, and I think the market
just
agrees with Tim, but
it's just no. I mean, granted, yeah, they're still making money hand over fist, but it was fascinating that we got to watch Steve Jobs' his brainchilds come to life. Right? It was fascinating that there was a man out there who literally, because he had a vision, could change the world, and we're not seeing that anymore. And that's kind of like it's a little depressing. It's a little sad to be like, well, that guy's not here anymore. It's life. It happens.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, also, not to discredit him or take anything away. It's just like, all right, here's an iPod. He did it with the iPod, and then it's like, all right, what's the next step for this? Phone. Then all right, what else could we do? iPad. It's like all of it is just iterations on the same thing, and then now it's just like, all right, well, we've done all of that.
Yeah, but it's not the idea so much as the execution with that, right? It's like I have an idea, and everyone was like, that's there's no way that's gonna work, and then he did it, and you're like, that's what changes the world right there. Going like, all of you think I can't do it?
And I also think that it's important. I know we're running long or whatever, but I think it's also important to note that we saw an Apple without Steve Jobs, and that Apple almost went away completely. And that's like what a lot of people forget is that in the mid-90s, Apple was like literally 2 quarters away from shutting down before Steve Jobs came back. Like they were fucking irrelevant. And people look at like the iPad and the iPhone and be like, well, these are their first tactile things. Like no, they made things like the Newton and stuff like that in the early 90s. They made PDAs. Like they have no idea what the fuck they were doing without him, you know. And he came back and he revitalized them with ideas. They had the technical prowess. They always had the technical prowess. Wozniak was the one with the technical prowess. Right. Steve Jobs was the one that said we can make billions of dollars with what you're doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like you need someone like that. I don't think Apple's ever going to be the same. I don't care like what their market valuation is and all that kind of stuff. They're never going to be the same.
It's not bashing Tim Cook.
No, it's just
it's impossible. Well. It's impossible to fill his shoes.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's like with someone filling, you know, frankly, Bill Gates' shoes. Like it's not going to happen.
No.
The Microsoft without him is different. That's just the way it is. It doesn't make it better or worse. But I think it's worth noting that he's an impossible person to replace, but that we have all of these case studies of just real life existence without him at Apple when you know John Scully kicked him out in the 80s and they fucking sucked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like people really forget like for all their market valuation of almost $1 trillion is a far cry from them not having anything in the mid 90s. Yeah. And he was the one to turn it around. So it's just important to note that that's relevant. You know, like that's relevant because it's not like he was always there and disappeared. It's all he was there. They fired him. They sucked. He came back. They were good again. And that's not a coincidence. You know,
Greg. Yep. To answer your original question, get a new iPad if you want to get an iPad.
I'm getting the big one. I want the big one.
Then wait and get the big one.
If you want more on the whole Apple history, we did a topic called Apple versus PC, episode 40, part 4. I remember we'd had these same conversations.
Oh, yeah.
This part, not the part about.
It's good to check in with Apple every once in a while because they are just a fascinating company. They're fascinating.
And I will recommend real quick.
It is fascinating.
There's a lot of great reading about. There's a lot of great reading about Apple out there. Two must-read books: I Was, which is Steve Wozniak's like kind of autobiography, which is awesome.
It's a dope name.
And about that. Walter Isaacson's biography of Steve Jobs, which is fucking immaculate. And he talked to him over years, including right before he died. And there's a lot of really interesting shit in there.
Read that.
It's very, very good. Must-read book. Must-read book for Apple fans. A lot of insight.